Hey, guys. Super excited to be coming back to you with another episode of the Speak Easy podcast, where we go behind the scenes talking about what it means to be the successfully paid speaker or author. I am your host, Altavis Pelzer. Yes, your voice manager, unmuting the voice of women who have literally been quiet for way too long. With that being said, oh my goodness, I know you saw that today's title is Now Success, and you probably said, yeah, that's clickbait. It's not. To understand and to know that now success is possible. It's all about shifting your mindset, and there's a few other things. So as we talk to today's guest, we'll clue you into how you can tap into that now success and not just think that it's kind of, people blowing smoke. With that being said, make sure that you check out today's episode and leave us a review by going to bit.ly/Speak Easy Podcast Show. Okay, guys, so I know you saw the title and you probably spazzed out because you were like, yes, I want now success. But then you had that little inkling in the back of your mind that said, pause, I can't have now success because success is over time, right? Well, that's what we'll be talking about today and hitting on a couple points that's really going to challenge some of the things that you think when it comes to success. With that being said, I have an amazing guest with us today. Hello, Awilda. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on, Altavis. I'm really excited to be here and to connect with your audience and to discuss this really exciting topic.
I am excited to have you as well. So, I want you to let the Speakeasy audience know a little bit about you, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Absolutely. So, my name is Awilda Rivera. I am a success coach, author, speaker, and yogi. I wrote a book that came out May of 2019 called Success Math. I help Gen Xers, millennials, and baby boomers not only identify success on their own terms, but also create strategic plans that allow them to go out and accomplish that.
So, let's start right there. Defining success on our own terms. I think when we think about now success, people think, I want the six figures, I want the Audi, I want the Benz, I want the 10 room house, I want the 10-car garage. Like, when they think of success, immediately, unfortunately, because of what society has given us, that's where their mind goes. So how do we shift that into the definition you just gave for success?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the most important thing, and it can be the most difficult thing, is to start by really identifying what is one's actual desire for success and what is an external influence that is making us sort of adapt a particular desire for success. So what I mean by that is, like you just said, the 10-bedroom house, the Audi, people that are like, I just want to make money, when in fact, if we were to peel back the layers, it may be just that they want stability for their family, or they want financial freedom, or they want to be able to travel. Now, that's not to say that, working towards those sort of three-dimensional goals of the house, of the car, of the amount in the bank account aren't valid. They are, but, you know, that's what I like to call kind of like an entry level goal. The entry level goal is the physical 3D thing, the thing that we see on TV. But the real goal is a thing that when you think about it, something inside of you is ignited and you're willing to do whatever it is necessary to accomplish that. And when you're able to align yourself with that desire, then oftentimes the money and the other things that you want to feel comfortable come along with that, or evolve in such a way that you didn't expect.
Oh, and that's it right there. That word, expect, and expectations. I think a lot of times we have to kind of reimagine what the expectations are in life, what the expectations are for ourselves. Because a lot of times
Absolutely.
we're going out here and we're trying to live up to somebody else's expectations, but do we really have expectations for ourselves anymore?
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, to kind of sum it up in a couple of sentences, my entire life I wanted to be a lawyer. I went to very prestigious boarding high school, and then I went to a prestigious college, then I went right to law school. I went right into, doing the things that one would do to be a lawyer. Worked while I was in law school, worked right after law school. And at 26 years old, with a week left in my clerkship, I found myself in a hospital room in a cardiac wing, very confused as to what caused my heart to skip a beat, for lack of a more colloquial phrase, and land me in the hospital at such a young age. And that had to do with me shifting my expectations, right? I had expected and just moved towards a goal of being a lawyer my whole life, just because that's what I thought I should do. That's what people expected of me. And I thought, well, it's a good idea. I'd probably be good at it, so why not? Right? But it wasn't until a serious medical emergency happened that I had to ask myself, well, what is it that I really want to do? And the truth was that if I started to peel away and really get clear with myself about what it is that I wanted and how it was that I wanted to impact people. The truth was is that I wanted to be an instrument of change. I wanted to be someone that was of assistance to others, and that just required more thought. So a lot of times, what I find, and this isn't a slight to anyone, because as you see, I did it, right, in what I just described. But a lot of times we just think we can just kind of pre-select a path based on what's just out there and be like, well, I guess I'll just select choice A and just walk down the road, and before you know it, I'll just be there. And the truth is that it's not that easy. Even people that go on to be lawyers and doctors, there's always adversity. There's always twists and turns and switchbacks that, unless you live that experience, you're not aware of. So there's no such thing as sort of like a quick, easy path to success, or like a pre-carved out path. Even if you're looking at someone like an Oprah, or even, Alto Visa, and you're like, I want to do what she's doing. You can try to reverse engineer that, but you're still going to have to go through your own challenges, which is why it's important that you know exactly why you want to do that. And that is deeply connected to your sense of what success means to you.
So I'm sitting here and I'm like smiling from ear to ear because I started out going to school for accounting. And I'm a numbers girl. I can do numbers in my head. I can pretty much finagle all the way up to statistics. I hated statistics. That was just, I think it was a personal thing. I just didn't like the class. But I could do everything else in my head. And so my mother went and she had a degree for accounting and she was doing people's taxes and things. So I said, you know what, I can go ahead and do that, and got into the classes, and they were absolutely boring. Because when you can do math in your head and everyone else is struggling to do math on paper, you're very lonely in class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up switching my major, and I tried to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I started taking some sociology classes and psychology classes. And I think the class that really like sealed the deal for me was a class where one of the classes we were talking about sexual harassment, and what is the definition of sexual harassment, and what does it include, and all of those things. And I know that sounds weird that it intrigued me so much, but immediately after class, I text everyone I knew and said, what is your definition of, what's the definition of sexual harassment? And family members were like calling me like, who do I need to fight? Or do we have money? And I'm like, this is fun. Okay, wow. But it just intrigued the conversation a whole lot more. And it hit something on the inside of me that accounting class just did not do.
Right. It spoke to something that you didn't even know you were passionate about, that
Exactly.
really awakened a deeper purpose in you to create clarity around the voice of women, which is what you're doing.
Exactly. And it was interesting because at that point, the things that I had went through, that led me here, that, impacted me being here, I hadn't even gone through those things just yet. Like I had gone through some things in my early childhood, but the major things that shifted me, I hadn't even gone through those yet. And those classes really did set me in motion for what it is that I'm doing right now. I know Speakeasy podcast listeners, you're like, wait a minute, she took classes for yes, your girl has a degree.
Mm.
Your girl is college educated. Yes, she is. And debating on if I'm going to go back for my master's. But there was something in this. And I can tell you guys this, when you think about now success, your now success will impact tomorrow's decisions.
Yeah. And I think something that's important for people to also think about, especially, during this really intense geopolitical time, natural disaster time, medical pandemic time, is that now success can be just like, I woke up today and I wrote an article, or I showed up for every meeting that I need to be at, because it's really those small steps that you make every day in the direction of what you want that allow you to get that 10-bedroom house eventually, that allow you to have all the zeros in your bank account. It's that consistency, that follow through, but also that ability to appreciate the small wins, because they lead to the big victories.
Oh, yes. I always talk about those mile markers. Paying, like, your goal is to get to the finish line, but if you're not paying attention, like, you're passing mile markers and you can get very frustrated and think, oh my goodness, it's taking forever. It's just, but if you look back and
Hmm.
say, well, I've passed like 10 mile markers, that's major.
No, exactly. It's like, a lot of times, especially for your listeners that are, from the Western Hemisphere, and from the United States particularly, we have a mentality of bigger, faster, stronger, better, and what's next and what now. That isn't a bad thing, but if we're too committed to those ideas without stopping to engage in reflection, then we run the risk of A, losing track of what we really care about, B, not replenishing the well from the energy that we use, and C, potentially missing important data that would help us to modify what we're doing moving forward so that we can be more efficient.
Now, efficiency is very important. When we think about that now success, I know you talked about, yeah, that whole idea of the bigger, faster, stronger, better. What's next? What's now? Go, 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 go. Sometimes that now success is just sitting still.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I mean, a lot of what I talk to my clients and what's in my book is around a success that's holistic. And in order for it to be holistic, it has to be holistic the entire time. And so, speaking to what Altovise just mentioned, part of that is creating a balance where you're able to relax, where you're able to step back, where you're able to reflect. Even in science, they've shown that, for example, on a physical level, if you were to lay down after studying or after doing an intense workout just for 5 minutes, your body is able to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for, is able to digest and retain everything that just happened way better, as well as to kind of say, okay, well, this is what is going on in my low back, this is what's going on, and now moving forward, we can approach it this way. Similarly, when you're working towards a goal that is more intellectual or academic or professional, it's important to take time to review, like, what have I been doing? What works? What hasn't worked? For example, in my business, I've tried a lot of different things, and the only way you know it works is by trying something, but the only way you know if it's actually helping you is by reflecting on what it has done. So there was a time where I hired, I'll give you a perfect example. Beginning of 2019, I hired a PR person. I was paying this person several $100s a month to get me exposure, prior to my book coming out, and to set up a California-based PR tour. 6 months come and go. This person set up one meeting in California and had not gotten me any features. So I was like, okay, this is not the right person to do this, and this is not serving my business. Okay, Awilda, what is the strongest pivot you can make? Well, I still need exposure. I still want to reach people. Let me think about what is something I haven't tried. Okay, I haven't tried guest posting blogs. I've done podcasts, done these other things. Let me think about blog guest posting. So I did some research, made a smaller investment in something to help get me, the fundamental basic understanding of what I need to do, where I need to go. Luckily, I'm a quick study, right? And within a couple weeks, I was already getting published, syndicated. I recently had an article picked up in Vanity Fair Italia that I wrote here. So it was like, okay, reflection time. This is a better investment. This is working, right? Keep doing this. So I say all that to say that if I was like, well, everyone says you need a PR person, they just maybe need more time. Maybe I should just throw more money at it. I wouldn't have been learning anything from the investment of time and money that I made, and I would have been inefficient. Yet, allowing myself to step back and be honest about what worked, what didn't work, what I could do, where I need to step up. Again, pivoting, making an investment. Now I'm seeing a great return on that. Does that make sense?
So first, let me insert this hashtag nap time lifestyle. I'm all for taking pauses throughout the day just to lay down, regroup, get yourself together, especially after doing some major things, or even what others may think is something minor, but it was major for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it. Hashtag nap time lifestyle. So that part. But it's interesting because when I think about visibility and exposure, and how it relates to success, visibility and exposure are everything. And I think that unfortunately there are some people that play into that, and that's how we get these people that call themselves somebody who does PR, but in all actuality, someone who does PR can do something quickly. They can do something at a moment's notice because of the connections they've made, because of their investment in you and your story and what it can do for somebody else. Like I love seeing those who are in that industry who, like, when the people that they're working with, you're seeing them everywhere and you're seeing them do some phenomenal things. And then you hear some other people say, oh yeah, I do PR. And you're like, for who? Casper? Like, who are you? Because I know if you do something for me, I'm grateful. I appreciate it. I thank you. You're going to see some pictures. You're going to see a review or something, right?
Right.
So that story really sits like heavy on me, because when we do think of success, that visibility is necessary. There's no way that you can achieve your greatest level of success without some sort of visibility. And this is coming from an introvert.
Right. And what I don't want the audience to miss is that by staying focused on what I needed, and by knowing that I ultimately am empowered to do whatever I need to do because I have a voice that deserves to be heard and I have a message that someone cares to read, I was able to pivot that and not allow a title or a person or what everyone else said I should do to be an impediment to actually moving forward. Right? Because
Yes.
there's always something you can do, and maybe that something is taking a nap, right? But maybe that something is, to get even more real, I had been avoiding writing blog posts for a while because I was like, I don't care to do that. I don't feel like doing that. I just wrote a book. Like, I don't care about that. But the truth is that mentality and me just being like, oh, it'll be so easy if I just hire someone else to do this, was actually, you know, it was actually the wrong thing for me and for my business. Whereas the minute that I was like, okay, Awilda, get over yourself, write the damn article, get your butt in gear. Now, you know, haven't even been writing these quote unquote guest posts for like maybe like 5 months, and I've been featured in like so many from like yours truly to Huffington Post to Vogue, Vanity Fair Italia to Mindful, the Minds Journal to Evolve Magazine, all these different places that have now picked up and syndicated this article or these articles. Um, where I had to, again, allow myself to shift my mind, allow myself to let go of that limiting belief, despite having just written a book on limiting beliefs and move forward. And I say that to say that, even when we've come a long way, there's always vestiges of the past and vestiges of things that are external to us that creep in that we have to like get over.
Most definitely. And so now one question that I ask every guest that comes on is, in this journey, have you had any blunders? Any things besides the PR, which is not really a blunder because it's an investment and you never know how things are going to go. But anything that you can look back and say, okay, yeah, no, that wasn't a good idea at all.
Yeah, I definitely, my most notable and kind of comical one is that as a part of my business, I also lead international wellness travel. And this year I'm celebrating my third full year and my seventh and eighth trips. And so my very first trip in 2017 to Nicaragua, um, I hadn't traveled internationally in a couple of years. I'd just been kind of in an R&D and really business development phase for the years prior to that. And I was like, oh, well, I have a friend who is like a 20-year Delta flight attendant. Like, oh, you're going to Nicaragua. Like, oh, we can get you like a standby flight for like no money. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, who's flying to Nicaragua anyway? And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, no problem. Now, mind you, I had the money to buy the ticket, right? So that's the first thing. Like, when you have the money to invest in something where you can invest in it outright, just do it. Anytime that you think that you're gonna get a side way or like a discount, or you're gonna like, if you think you're gonna like rig the system somehow to get something that's actually of value, like you're setting yourself up for a blunder for sure. So I go forward with it. I show up to the airport. One of my guests, who's a friend of mine, is at the airport. She has a ticket on the flight, and they're loading the flight. My name is on the standby, and they're like, "Well, sorry, that's it. We're not letting anyone else on the flight due to weight and balance. Even though there's seats for humans, we can't take anyone." So now I missed my flight. Right, I have to buy a flight the next day for the next day. So it's like $800. But wait, I didn't end the blunder there, because I should have just been like, oh wow, that's so crazy. Like, let me just get the round trip and just like, don't even put myself through this. But no, that's not what Awilda did. Awilda's like, okay, one way, let's go. $800, go to Nicaragua, beautiful retreat. Everything is, normal ups and downs of a first retreat, but everything is good. Everyone has a great time. Time to come back to America. Still on standby. Guess what happens? Can't get on the plane again. Now I have to buy another next day ticket. That's like $1,000. So yeah, that's the biggest blunder I've ever made in my business.
Oh my
Never
goodness.
did that again.
I
Never did
think
that
that's
again.
the first time I've heard of a blunder with a flight. Oh my goodness, but we think about so many times and so many things that happen when it comes to, yeah, especially with traveling, and I think it was somebody was given buddy passes, and we were using buddy passes with another um, program that I was with, and they were like, "Yeah, we're just going to use buddy passes," and then the person that was supposed to be giving us the buddy passes, we couldn't get in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you just said, the longer you wait, the higher the ticket gets, and
Mm-hmm.
it just made for oodles and oodles of fun.
And the crazy thing was that the ticket, if I had bought the ticket outright, round trip, at the time when I was having a conversation with them about the standby, it would have only been like $650.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, trying to be smarter than I don't know what, I took like a $1,200 loss. So, you know, obviously never did that again. But also, it's important to just realize that's really a metaphor for so many things on our success journey, that we're like, oh well, I don't want to invest in that because it looks like it's going to be this much money, or I don't want to invest in that because I think it's this. But then we still, we're still struggling with the same thing. And so it's like, maybe you need to invest in that thing so you can stop struggling there, and not, maybe not buy that fancy pair of shoes or that purse, or, you know, that table reservation at the club.
Definitely. So, okay, I absolutely love this conversation. Let them know where they can connect with you and also how they can get the book.
Of course. So you can always find me online at www.awildarivera.com. I'm on social media, miss.awilda Rivera. On my website, there's a tons of free stuff. As I mentioned, it's links to all the articles that I've written that talk about everything from confidence to experiences in life that you're ultimately going to have to become a better person, to why it's important to say no and why that's a power move, all those kinds of things that are really the color by number that makes our success journey so beautiful, but also that can make it really hard. So please feel free to go on there and check that out. There's also episodes of my very what's the word I'm looking for? Inspirational micro podcast called When Life with Awilda Rivera, where each week we tackle a different idea that can help you on your road to success, as well as access to my course. The book is called Success Math, a Millennial's Qualitative Approach, and you can get that anywhere books are sold, especially Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. It's available in Kindle and Nook formats as well. And if you're interested in coming on one of these wellness escapes, my April escape is sold out, but my escape October 9th, 10th to the 19th to Bali still has a few spots open. I'd love to have you there. It is going to be a amazing, healing, spiritual, relaxing journey.
I absolutely love it. Guys, this is why we bring, guests on that have such amazing stories, because we want you to not only understand that you can have that same success, you can achieve some great things within your life, within business, And sometimes you just need to hear that somebody else has been where you are, or they've been through what you've been through, and they've been able to move past that point in their life. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, if you're checking out this episode and you absolutely love it, or you may just hate it, let me know. We would love to get a review from you. bit.ly/Speakeasy Podcast Show, all lowercase. Leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts, formerly known as iTunes. But you can also check us out over on Podchaser. We would love to connect with you there. With that being said, I appreciate you. And this was another episode of the Speakeasy Podcast with your host, Altwese Pelzer. And until next time, guys, don't forget to press it out. See ya.